Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So we are recapping our last week's law of the mirror and how we add value to ourselves. We had a little assignment, and that was to list 100 positive words that describe us. Who wants to share first? Number one, first of all, share the experience on how it was. It stressful? Was it happy? Enlightening? And then the next you want to share is your top word. And if you want, maybe the top three, if it's very difficult for you to just have one. Who wants to go first? Share. Sandra? Or you want me to share? Okay, I know what. Okay, nobody's just raising their hand and just okay, I'll share.
Okay, you first. Okay,
Can
you
I share?
share.
Okay, I'm gonna be super honest. The experience was at first it was easy. As I started getting halfway about the 77 word, I started getting repetitive. I didn't realize I was repeating my words. I wasn't doing it on a spreadsheet either. I was doing actually on a paper in a book like this and in my notebook. And as I started getting, 77 words, I started repeating. I noticed I started repeating some of the words, and some of the words weren't positive, was getting negative. That was an experience. Okay, so my top word out of all, I think, is optimistic. That's my word. Top three would be optimistic, hopeful, and resilient. Anyone else wants to share? Yeah, Robin and Joe. Robin first and then Joe.
So, yeah, I didn't get up to 100. I think I went up to about 50. And I just thought, I already know what my word is. Like, no, I don't think I do 100. But it was a very good exercise. I appreciated, doing that. And I think my top three was introspective or reflective, strategic, and for this season in my life right now, simple. And when I had to really think about it, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago or a couple years ago, it would probably have been strategic. But in this season of my life, it's simple, because sometimes I feel like we make life so complicated. And so I'm really trying to just remove a lot of that extra stuff in my life that I don't really need, and simplify just where I live, what I do, and how I do it.
Awesome.
That's great.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's good. Good.
Okay,
good.
let me say mine. I did, and I think the first 5 that resonated with me was resilience. I'm very resilient. I'm very optimistic. I see the best of life every time in any situation. I'm action oriented. I like taking action now, do it now, do it now, do it now. That's my person. I'm very dogged and consistent. Some people will tell me you're too energetic. Like she would always say, what's the name? Stephanie would always say, you're very energetic. I'm very.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Thank you, Sandra. Joel. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you too.
Hi, good morning, Steff. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are.
I'm good.
Yeah, I did mine a little bit different because I'm still playing catch up on the previous laws, and I'm working my way through that with some other self-discovery work.
Good.
But what I did for this one, just based on the timing, I used some work I had already done. I did a similar exercise where I reached out to about 10 people who knew me really well. And I also used work evaluations and awards and other things to see what words were consistently used the most in line with what people said, all positive words. And the 3 that came up consistently was intentional, passionate, and self-aware. So I've been using that for a while now. And but what I did this last week was I didn't redo the drill because I'm still working on lesson 1 and 2. But I just kind of took some time to assess, do I still think I'm intentional passionate, and self-aware. And as of right now, I still agree with it. So that's how I approached this past week. Thank you.
Awesome. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good that you're doing it different in different settings. The same, so and it's consistently coming up the same. I mean, that's
Sure.
kind of showing. Yeah, great.
Over time, when you do this, you tend to repeat the things you've written in past. But in other ways, maybe you get other synonyms of what you call passionate. When you said write 100 words, sometimes you find yourself repeating those things you've earlier said about yourself. When you say resilient, by the time you write and you're trying to get to 100, you start repeating some of those things you earlier said.
So I wanted to add to that when I reached out to people and pulled the words from different evaluations over 20 plus years, a lot of them were synonyms like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they were 47 or 48 unique words. But as I really started looking at it, they weren't that unique. They were synonyms. And so I started defining all these words really mean intentional. All these really mean passionate. All these contribute to self-awareness. So that's exactly in line with what you just said.
Thank you.
That's
Does
a good
anybody
one.
want to say anything?
Dan?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that, Joe, I loved your approach on that because I actually thought about that. I don't have I didn't have the opportunity to be able to do that, unless, of course, I go back into past times in history and try to remember all the things that people have said. But what I wanted to say is that I want to praise you for sharing that perspective on your approach, because I think a lot of times we tend to not necessarily label ourselves, but we like to go ahead and look at ourselves a certain way. But it's also very important that we live at moment and that we live at reality, and we need to see how others sees us. And by comparing and maybe seeing the difference from what other people see from us and what we see in ourselves, we can try to work and find that balance between the two, and actually, hopefully, find where you want to be. Because a lot of times some people may say something that's a little bit more on a critique side, but that in itself is very helpful because it allows you to assess yourself and say, why do I think I'm this good, and yet that person doesn't see me quite up to that same level? So I think it's very important and the important part of that as well is to accept what others sees, because it is what they see, and it's important for us to be able to accept it so that we can work and better ourselves. I love that approach, Joe, so thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Dan. So I'd like to welcome. We're having a few people that have joined us. Sandra, do you know
Yes,
who's in the
I
waiting
know
room?
them. Shagun is there. Emmanuel is there.
Do you
Jupa
wanna-
is there.
Okay,
I earlier told you that the timing was too late for those kind of joining from West Africa. This is about 11 midnight. So I think it wasn't convenient for them as it was convenient for you. So I think today some of them are still awake and they're able to join. So I want to use that opportunity to say thank you for coming. You're highly welcome. Shagun, making meaningful. Mr. Emmanuel Uko, then Jupe Nebedum. We're glad to have you here. We're in the fourth class, but it's not late. It's better to be late than never, but great to have you.
are they Emmanuel, are you there? Would you like to introduce yourself? Or they're probably there.
Yeah.
Hi.
That's him.
Welcome.
That's my husband.
Your husband. Oh, welcome. Husband of Sandra. Cute. Okay, wait, now let me see.
You have to mute. I think maybe we'll mute it then.
Yeah, I think he was trying to share something, but he's muted.
Yeah. Can you mute yourself?
Oh, there.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of in the with the therapy.
Actually, go ahead. Okay, I thought you were talking to me.
Yeah, with the therapist, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Emmanuel, and I'm Sandra's husband. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, and let's see.
Dupe, we have Dupe. Dupe, can you please introduce yourself?
Where did they go?
Maybe.
Hello. So it's late night in the evening here. So I will have to say good evening. My name is Mudupe Nibedum. Sandra is my sister-in-law, so I'm here.
There's an invitation.
Yeah, so I'm here to support and to honor our invitation. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
I'm into
Stefan.
testing here in Nigeria, and I'm also a women's coach. I do that under the brand name of Heal and Sparkle, where I help women, married women, to rediscover themselves so that they can heal, get themselves back, and then use their voice and live a fulfilled life. Thank you.
Awesome.
you.
Thank you, sis.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
And
Okay.
we have the other guy, Meaningful. I don't know if he's still online.
No, I think he left.
Okay, then.
Yeah,
That's okay.
he was having a hard time joining.
Okay, then.
Connecting. Anyone else would like to share their word and their experience?
So I kind of cheated because my workplace afforded me the opportunity to join this session. Every week in my staff meeting, I share what I learned or what the topic was. And I had told them about the assignment that I was given. And I kind of made a snickering side comment that, oh, it would be so wonderful if everybody gave me 50 words each so that I could take off from that. And it didn't work out to where, because we took Steff's previous class of Fascinate, out of 200 words, I came up with 2 words, which was actually, I realized at the end that it was my 2 descriptors from Fascinate, which was authentic and passionate.
Wow. Awesome. There's nothing like having feedback from people.
That's
Keep
amazing.
talking about you.
That's really
Exactly. And to jump ahead, I think it was like in chapter 5 or something, it talked about the top 5 people that you hang around with and you take on their persona. And so we had a great discussion on that too. So can't wait to share when it comes to that chapter. That was really
Awesome.
That's
So I
great.
go ahead. Great to have everyone today. And we just go straight into the class of today, the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. It's supposed to be a 15-week mastermind, but we had to shorten it to the first. We decided to make it into 3 5s. So the first series is the one we're doing right now, which is the 5 weeks, chapter 1 to chapter 5 of the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. We need to grow to move to the next level. And it says the 5 chapters, we're on the 4th chapter, the law of reflection. Thank you for sharing. I want to thank everyone for sharing tonight. And today we're looking at the importance of reflecting as part of our growth. Do we take time to reflect? Because a lot of times we get into this busyness. We're so busy running around, doing so many things. We are engaged, but are we reflecting? Do we take a break, pause to reflect? With all our experiences and lessons we learned in life, it's only when we are willing to stop, pause, and ask ourselves questions to what we just learned is when the real growth takes place. If you do not take time to, check yourself, you would just be, gathering information, and this information will probably not make impact on you. Gathering experience, and you're not evaluating those experiences, what you've learned from those experiences. Sometimes we go through this experience because God wants to prepare us for the coming generation, prepare us to be able to, tutor and be there for others who are going through the same, paths that we have gone on time past. So there is a lot of time that we need to give ourselves to reflecting on your day, on whatever you're doing. Like I earlier said, evaluated experience. Experience, anybody can have an experience. If you do not have your experience being evaluated, you are like just working and gathering experience and not making an impact on yourself. Learn it. Sorry, someone is coming in. Learn it. Learning to say time out. Learning to take a break. Learning to take some time out. Time, place, and I was talking about the 4 I's, what they meant: investigation, incubation, illumination, and illustration. life has been compared to a marathon and a sprint. Like we get into a race and we want to run. In a marathon, it's a journey. It's a never-ending marathon. And until we're called home, until, you stop breathing, then life ends there. But whatever it is, the only runner who succeed in the race are those who are headed in the right direction. A lot of people are running, but if you're not heading in the right direction, you're only marking time, just marching, and you're just you're experiencing what is called your status quo. You're in a certain position, but you're not moving. You think you're moving, but you're not moving because you're moving in a negative direction, in the wrong direction. So getting to your destiny or your planned goal, you would spend so much time and probably never get to your end, never get to your destination. So taking a brief break from the busyness of the day gives you a chance to evaluate whether you are making the best use of your time, energy, and also helps you to place your top priorities in the right order. Also, focused thinking brings to light those lessons of experience. So we often miss when we move too quickly through life. Some people are so fast moving such that everything they do, they're just too busy. They never have any time to spare, never have any time to take. And even sometimes they don't go on vacation. They're busy around the clock. And when we learn this thing, we're supposed to take time, stop, pause, and reflect. What I'm doing right now, are they in line with what I want to be or what I want to achieve? At this point of this experience is taking me to where I want to be in the next 5 years. So learning to pause allows growth to catch up with you. When you fail to pause and take some time to reflect, just find yourself going in a circle. Does anyone want to say anything about this before I move to another slide? Hello, Stephanie, do you have anything to say before I move it?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. If anyone doesn't want to share, I have something to share. Interesting enough, I had a supervisor. I remember we were in a meeting, and bless her heart, she was trying so hard to move the project forward. And it was interesting because she was just having a hard time, and I couldn't figure out why. But I guess because the way she was, she didn't have an agenda. She, every time we went into a meeting, it was whatever, whatever people would bring up, and she was just having a hard time. And I remember her asking me. It was weird. It was just weird. She asked me one day to help her, to see if we can kind of look at this project again, reassess where we are and why it's not moving in the direction she wanted to move it. And we sat and we collaborated, and I was able to help her. And one thing she asked me was very interesting. She said, "Steff, I've been struggling with this." And it was really, really odd because she was my boss. She said, "I've been struggling with trying to understand why this team is not being able to move forward." And we kind of spent some time just kind of reflecting on, where, like her past and how she's, she was, a supervisor before she got to our working place. And anyway, it was a nice time of, like, I think reflecting and reassessing, what she could learn and how she could be better. And it was really nice to be invited in to collaborate with her, or to kind of have that part of the evaluated experience that she was going through. So sometimes I think it's good that we do it on our own. However, I don't think it's a bad thing to invite others to help us along in that experience, the investigation, incubation, elimination, and illustration, to help us go along in that journey. So I thought that was really nice. It helped me to be transparent. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to explain further, it says reflection expands, enriches our thinking. We're able to see opportunities for growth that we otherwise may have overlooked. Whilst getting so busy and running around doing stuffs, we sometimes miss out. But when we take some time to pause and to reflect, some of those things we've overlooked, we get to see them better. And if you want to look at what is investigation, when you're trying to find out an information about something, incubation, you want to incubate those ideas you've gathered over the times, all the experiences together, like a chicken sitting down on his eggs just to incubate it. A life comes out of it after the incubation process. So when you incubate ideas, things, experiences, you get fresh ideas. Illumination has to do with lighting. You have clarity about certain things you're doing. Perhaps you're just doing it because someone else around you is doing it. But when you sit down and take some time to reflect, you have some clarity. You have some light in those gray areas of your life, of situations you've not been able to, move ahead with. You get some clarity and you have a path to follow. Then illustration, it could be any diagram, it could be anything. You can see it, you can picture it. It is said that what you don't see, you don't get to achieve it. If you want to become a great speaker, you have to see yourself speaking on different platforms, speaking and you have to see it. You have to form an illustration, have a diagram, see something or get a picture. Like, when you do your vision boarding, you have some pictures to place around your room because you want to see those pictures. You want to be able to illustrate it. You want to be able to think it. You want your heart to be able to, have it in you. And it is said that pictures, stay in the mind more than the things you write. So sometimes those pictures helps us and guide us in the things we need to do. So I think, am I in the right slide? Okay, evaluative experience. And the next one says, there are lots of distractions whilst we're trying to do all this. I think this portion we're going to be asking ourselves true life questions, distractions, the real thoughts. We're in an area or in an environment where you're being distracted. There's no way you'll be able to think. Even if you're able to do that, it won't be so, so much of a good experience for you because there's a lot of distractions around you. Like this age, we have a lot of distractions for the teenagers coming. They have a lot of resources. And it is said that the places where you grow, there are three things that makes you stand out. Either the books you read, the resources you're allowed to come inside of you, the people you hang around, and the environment you grow. So a lot of times we need to take note of those three things. What are the resources you're allowed to get inside of you? Because it's only a matter of time. Your heart is indicting it. And someday your mouth will not be able to keep shut. You're going to spill it over. People will get to know what stuff you're made of, even if you keep hiding all the way. Because someday you will speak. And it is said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So whatever you have inside of you, you can't hide for too long. It will spill out, either through your mouth or your actions, the things you do. It says, where is the best place for you to engage in a distraction-free thought? This is a question for everyone. Where is the free zone? Where you can speak, reflect, and be able to, evaluate your experience, what you've been doing in the last few months, since the beginning of this year, and even if you want to think years beyond, and how you want to move ahead. Can I have anyone bail me out from this? Let's bail the cards out of the bag. Where is the best place for you to engage in a distraction-free thoughts, where you will not be distracted, where you can have all the time to reflect? Can I have anyone speak?
Looks like Joe is already there. Joe.
That wasn't intentional, but
No, your background too.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize that. But that would be my answer. The beach, and even more so than the beach is actually being on the water. Whether it's kayaking, paddleboarding, surfing. When you do those type of activities, you actually can't focus on anything else.
Oh.
You really disconnect. And you're just present with what you're
Sure.
doing at the moment.
That's a good point.
Anything that requires your full attention. I think recently on LinkedIn, I posted some things about trying to do more creativity things like painting, and those are things I'm not good at. so they require my complete focus. And it just like my mind forgets about everything else. And that's my answer.
And I also like the background for Sherry. That's a good one, Joe. Sherry also have a very lovely background. I think that kind of background would help you to be able to focus. Sherry, you want to say something? Thank you.
Yeah, so the only time I find my brain is always going and I have a hard time slowing down, calming down. So unlike Joe, I have only one outlet right now that I've just recently discovered, and that's only when I'm getting a massage. When I'm getting a massage, my brain goes into total shutdown mode. I don't know how I do it because I try so hard to reproduce that, but I haven't been successful just yet, but I'm getting there soon.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is. Maybe it's a massage chair.
Yeah, a massage chair should be able to do so. True.
Okay. Hi, Jiki. Looks like you're at the eye doctor's. Yeah. Oh, you're so dedicated. I love it. Look at you.
But I just want to share for me, those of you that have seen my setup at my office or at my home office, I'm surrounded by black. And the reason why is I have to remove things that are stimulating around me. And the reason for that is because I've never been diagnosed, but I think I have ADHD because I'm always going off into tangents. If something stimulates my mind, I'm going to go in that direction. It's like, oh, look, there's something shiny, and I'll go for that. So when I have the black curtains and everything in, and my staff says, oh, we're going to go see Mr. Furr, we're going into the cave, then I go there, right? So when I have that surrounding, it helps me stay focused. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing,
Thank you.
Jiki. Awesome. Roy, you've been quite quiet. Roy and Tama. Roy?
For me, if I'm trying to get distraction free, sometimes I have a long drive to go, in the car. And sometimes I just leave no radio. It's about an hour or so. And then sometimes I'll go on a long bike ride, especially in the mornings, and 2 to 3 hours or so, and try not to go with any music and just try to enjoy what's out there. Or even some swims sometimes. If it's long enough, then I'll enjoy the swim, and just the only thing you can really hear is my breathing in the water because no one else is inside the pool. And then another place that I try to be intentional about distraction free is, it's a weird place, but I'm a Christian. It's technically my closet, and I have like a note inside there just to remind myself to slow down and to pray. So it's kind of an interesting thing where it's a small little broom closet, and I'll actually close the door behind me just to be intentional about slowing down.
Sure.
I love it. Yeah.
That's a great
A
one.
prayer closet. Good. Tama, you want to share?
I just wanted to say it's so amazing to me because our church is doing a study, well, not really a study, but our message right now is about pausing. And I thought it was so amazing that I was reading this book, chapter 4, and it talked about pausing, because I struggle with just being still and sitting. Finding a distraction-free zone for me is really difficult, but I'm trying. I did it for the first time for 3 minutes last night, and to just sit and pause. And yeah, it was kind of hard.
I experience that too.
Yeah, but I think the more I do it, the more, and I'm making it a concerted effort to do this. Finding the distraction-free zone. Unlike Roy, I don't bike, I don't swim, I don't do all those kind of fun things out in the nature, but I do have a great prayer closet. And again, I think that is the best place to be for me. And it's just a matter of being still right now. That's where I'm at in life right now, and it just ties exactly with what we're going through. So I like distraction free. I don't have kids, so I don't have an excuse anymore. So it's good. Thanks for letting me hear.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
Dan?
And so,
oh, sorry.
Dan wants to speak? No.
Oh,
If Dan wants to speak, it will be good.
Dan, you want to speak? You want to say something? Sorry.
Sure. Oh no, no worries. I did this chapter was not necessarily eye-opening, but it did remind me, and I guess I can say you reopened my eyes a little bit and my thoughts. I totally agree with each and every one of you. And in finding that distraction-free zone, I think it's highly important. But there is one part in here, and I hope I am not overstepping. I don't know exactly what's ahead in the other chapters. So hopefully I'm not touching up on something later on. But being able to reflect and pause, I do agree, and I do believe is highly important. Finding that free zone for you to be able to assess and just to reflect of all the things. I'm a very easily inspired person. I hear something good and something positive, something that can help other people, that can help me, that can help anybody. I'm right there. I'm easily inspired. But here's the problem. I also remember this speech several years ago, and I was watching this inspirational speech. And this lady, I forgot her name. I'm going to have to look at it again. But I remember her saying that you only have a small time or a small moment for yourself to do something that inspires you. In other words, whether it's 3 minutes or 4 minutes, 5 minutes later, whatever it was that inspires you, because of all the distractions that comes along, we have a tendency to kind of forget or to put it in the back burner. And it is so easy for us to be easily distracted. And here I am, very easily to be inspired and very easily to be distracted. This is where the distraction-free zone actually comes in, highly important, because it's nice to pause, it's nice to reflect, but there is something that you also need to do aside from that is, I think, is highly important, is that whatever it is that you took out from that pause and reflection, whatever it is that you learned, you really can't learn until you start to apply it. So the application part, and I hope it's not, I'm not overstepping and going too far forward because I don't know what the next chapters are, but I think application has to be put side by side in the reflection process, because you can reflect, you can learn everything and be inspired, but without that application process, I'm just going to get easily distracted because I'm going to forget about it an hour from now because football is coming right up, So yeah, I think I just wanted to share that application is a part of this, and hope I did not go out of my lane too far. Back to you, Steff or Sandra.
Thank you so much, Don. And the next thing is, which part of your workday is generally the busiest? You know your timing, when you resume at work or when you get to your desk to work. Which of your workday is generally the busiest? And which is usually the calmest? Sometimes I think some people would say that their break time, they do have a break between 12 and 1, and it's lunchtime is actually the calmest. That's the time you take some time to take a break from work, either to go for lunch or time to just go rest and take a break from working. So you know it already, and so share some best practices to engage in a distraction-free zone, where you just stay alone and you try to focus on a particular subject or an idea or a point or something you want to achieve. And that's a way to help you focus and, and to cut everyone around you. So asking the right questions to get the right answers are just one of the ways to help you to be able to focus. And we said there are 3 things you need to do. The paradigm of a leader, of a person who wants to grow. You learn it, you lead it, and you live it. What you learn, you want to show it out to others too. You want to lead it. You want to, people to see it in you. And so you want to be a model for others to, emulate. And it says personal awareness questions. There are questions you might want to ask yourself. Now that we know that, why pausing and reflecting is important for our growth. Take some time and imagine we finally carve out our routine comfortably in the right environment, no distraction around us. Cell phones are safely away from you so that you don't hear it sound or ring. You sit and stare off into the space. Now what? You're able to focus. So I'm just giving you some examples of things you could do, putting away your phones, looking up into the skies, and trying to shut all the busyness around you and the noise around you. And hopefully you have a pen and a paper, and if you prefer a computer, some people have means in which they journal. So we're going to be talking about how to journal. What's the best way to journal? Because at this particular time, when you take some time from being away from any distractions, you want to write down some things your spirit is telling you to do, or things you're visualizing. You want to put them on. Either you want to write them down, or you want to write them straight, type them into your computer. How many of you journal? I want to find out. Do we all journal? Anyone want to share suggestions to the group on processes of journaling and how we can journal well, either on piece of papers, binders, computers, whatever, on your phones? Does anyone want to bail their card out of the bag? If no one is saying,
Yeah.
let's just start. Okay.
Sorry,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Go ahead, Dan.
There's a commercial, I think a US Army commercial way back then, something in regards to, we do more by ... 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning than anybody else by the time they wake up. And one of the habits also for the successful person is to be able to, if you wake up early, if you're one of those person that likes to wake up early and get things done when things are quiet and everything like that, I am only now getting in line to that. I'm usually a night owl. I'm usually up until 1, 2 o'clock. But I've found in the past several months that I have that my time has shifted, and I have a tendency to wake up a little bit earlier now. And in the wee hours of the morning when it's quiet, and I just put on some sort of inspirational music as a background, or maybe on my headset, and I find myself just jotting away and putting it in a Word document, or even sometimes I'll go ahead and put it in my phone, because your phone actually has a recorder and you can use that as a journal. And whether it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, just a thought, and I'll go ahead and turn on that recorder and just say it. Or if I have a phrase that I'd like to kind of remember, I'll say that as well. So yes, that journal is highly important because it reminds you. Of course, you have to check on it every once in a while. Either you can't just go ahead and write notes and forget all about it, because it's no good to you. But yes, I do that, and then I will remember to go ahead and open it, listen to it, and say, yeah, when do I apply it? How do I apply it? But I find those early mornings to be helpful for me. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. For me, what I do, I used to journal on papers and notebooks. It was pretty difficult to find those things when I need them. So I noticed that I have a lot of journals, I have a lot of books all around me. But, trying to find out where you have certain information, it's pretty difficult. I try to use my email as my junkyard. So what I do, if you get my mail, when you go to the draft session, you have over 500 drafts. Once I hear or read a book and I feel that, or listen to a video, a short podcast, and I feel that, oh, this resonates with me and I need these ideas, I need to keep them. I go straight into my drafts, create a name and say life stories. I could say jokes. I could also say different things just to, differentiate it. So I don't send them to myself. When I think it's enough, I send it. Because I've had issues sometimes mistakenly where I'm going through them, I mistakenly deleted them. So once I have enough in a particular page, I send it to myself as an email, because I know with the email, if I get anywhere in the world, once I have access to internet, I can do some work. But when I have it on a piece of paper, I can't have that notebook with me 24/7. Once the book is full, you're going to drop it down and pick something else to journal. So once you have so many of these books, you can't leave them all the time to go out with them. So writing, using my phone to take notes and sending it as a mail to myself. And sometimes if I'm too busy, I call my kids and I tell them, oh, please kindly type this for me and send it to me as an email. So once it's in my mailbox, it's easier for me to find out. All I need to know is know the keywords So I just go back and search it with the keywords. And so I get them. So that's the way I take my journaling. I don't know if anyone has any better way.
I don't have a better way, but I use what's called Day One. It's an app, and it syncs up with all my devices that I can able to take that from too as well. And
Good.
OneNote, good one too.
What
Yeah,
what was it
one.
called?
Day
app?
One. Day One.
Oh,
Is it an app?
One.
Yeah. But
Is it an app?
Yeah, it's an app, and then it syncs to all the different devices I have. But in regards to reflection, too as well, I actually, if it's about my kids, I have 2 little kids, so I'll email them. I made an email address for them when they were born. So if it's a reflection, every Monday I make sure I email both of them, just about their lives, and just it forces me kind of to reflect on their lives too. Every morning I'll look at old pictures, whatever taken was that day. So I make it a point to look at old pictures to remind myself. And then New Year's, what I do is I look at all the pictures I took throughout that year too as well, just to remind myself of what I've come through as well.
Awesome. I will check the app when I after the class. Day One app. Does anyone want to speak?
Go ahead,
That's-
Joe. Oh, Joe and Robin.
Yeah, I think Roy set the bar pretty high with those Monday emails to his kids. I do a combination of electronics and old school journaling in a notebook. The reason I like the old school way is there's 3 things I try to do with that. I have pictures that I'll just really old school. I'll just print them out and take them, and I like to write, and I like the process of writing. Sometimes it's free flow of writing, whatever's on my mind. Sometimes I'll meditate on the photo. A lot of them are pretty much all of them are photos of my kids and family. And then and sometimes I use prompted journals where I see these questions come up in different things I get in my inbox, or even from this program, like what direction are you going? And I'll make myself journal about it. But at a minimum, when I don't feel like journaling, I try to just write down 3 things that I'm grateful for every day, and that will normally lead me to the process of journaling. Electronically, I use OneNote just because sometimes I don't have the journal and I want something, and it is always on my phone, so that's nice, or wherever I happen to be. There's so many different ways to do it, but I find power in just getting somewhere quiet, listening to, trying to settling your mind like we talked about earlier, and just starting with something, and it just flows.
Awesome. With your OneNote, are you able to access it anyway?
On OneNote, I can access it anywhere. My paper journals, I can't, but it's just something I think, I don't know this to be true, I'm not a psychologist, but there's just something about manually writing that's very relaxing.
Sure, I know what you know. It's a lot. It's resonates such that you have it to stick. I love writing too. Sometimes my friends, so what I do is after writing, because I'm too busy to type it in, I may call my kids to engage them and say, please, can you type this for me? So once they type it and I go through it, I can send it to myself as a mail or leave it as a draft. Maybe I want to add more content to it. But this, having been able to journal, you're able to come up with great content. You're able to, once you're called upon to do a presentation or a speech, you can always go back to those content you have. So it's often good, your journal. You never know when you have need for those words, those nuggets. Does anyone want to talk? Maybe Dukwe or Emmanuel?
Robin and Modupi.
Modukwe? Oh,
Modupi.
good. Yes.
Robin, go first, and then Modupi had written something in the chat. Go ahead, Robin.
Okay, thank you. No, I was just wondering what that app was, because I'm like Joe too. I love to write in a journal, and I got so many different journals. So but I'm gonna try and check out. I see it in the chat. But for me, like I have a journal for like my quiet times in the morning. I'm a Christian, so with the Lord. And then I have other journals like when I go to conferences or when I'm in church or or online stuff, you know, and then I take all of those notes there, but then sometimes it's hard. It's like, okay, where did I write that? So I hear you, Sandra, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I got all this stuff all over the place because I just love to write it down. There's something about writing. And I don't know
Yeah,
if
there is.
you, but I'm going to check out that OneNote too for journaling. So thank you for sharing that.
Okay, I do journal. I have maybe two kinds of way I do mine. I have a notebook by my bedside that usually is in my laptop bag. That sometimes when I kind of reflect on things, or I wake up in the morning, I have fresh ideas. I quickly, jot them down in my notebook. And once I do that, what I do is that I kind of, in order not to lose it, I take pictures of it and save it on my Google Photo so that I can access it later. Then the other way I do it, I save it on my Google Notes. The other way I journal is I write them down on my Google Notes. In that way, I can always access it anywhere. As long as I log into my email address or I have a new phone, I can always access it through that means. So I do the paper one and also do the Google Notes.
Sorry. Yeah, that Google Notes is a good option as well. But if you're like me, mine's is maxed out already. I don't know why. We have to anyway, that's a side note, that's a technical thing. But yes, so we have Roy gave an option for day one app, and then we have
OneNote.
day one and OneNote. Right.
With day one too, you can also do pen, like an iPad pen. You can write into it, and then you can also do speech to text, and records what you say, and also inscribes it too as well. And then if you want to, you can actually sync it up to Instagram, and then actually imports the photos from there too.
Wow, that sounds very robust.
And then it's also password for iPhone users. For iOS, it's fingerprint protected too.
Oh, okay, that's great to know. Okay, wait,
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so that's day one app.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me put that in. Day one app. Okay. Anyone else want to share? Oh, wait, no, we had Modu.
I think she already sent something like a
Okay.
chat.
Oops.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I do journal. Journaling helps me to deal with myself, to be more aware of my emotions, why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Then I can track my growth. And sometimes while journaling, you just write some things that, when you go back to it, you are asking yourself, did I really write this? What happened? So journaling, it's a way of me keeping track of my growth level. It's a way of me maintaining my gratitude level, because I also use there's an app, gratitude journal. It's an app. I use that as well. So every day I must write. Every day there must be things that I'm grateful for. And then I use OneNote as well, because anywhere I am, of course, I can have access to it as long as I'm online. And it really helps. It helps in a whole lot of ways. It helps you to get to know yourself better. It helps you to deal with other people better, because when you understand yourself better, you'll be able to understand other people, and then your relationship with them, will be healthy. You can set the right boundaries, and it does a lot. So I journal. Yes, I do journal, and I enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So that was a gratitude app as well. That's what it's called, gratitude app. Okay.
Yes. It's
okay.
App.
Okay. All right. I'm sure we can find it. I'm going to put that in there. Okay, Sandra. Sorry. Anyone else want to share? And then we also mentioned about the the personal awareness questions that's also in the book. And those are the things that we would like to ask and journal about, right? That would be helpful to reflect on. Yeah. Sandra, you're muted. Sorry. Take it away, Sandra. Sorry. I'm going to mute.
Okay, then. I think you can hear me now. So asking the right questions gets you the right answers. So let's get the right answers, the right questions, so that we can often get the right answers.
It's showing only a partial of the screen.
No, I'm seeing the full screen.
Okay.
So maybe because personal awareness question. So we have to leave it. We do not only learn, we learn things and we lead by an example, and we also try to leave it out. And so we're in the session where we, what we learn, we try to leave it, we try to model it for others to see. We don't only speak, but our lives is also a reflection. People can see it in us. So it says, get a journal, title my growth journal. So a lot of us have spoken, different help we can use to get journaling. It's easy to access. The day one app, the Google Notes, and the gratitude app. Priority to reflect, find a place and a time, schedule it. Should be part of your time, part of your plans, part of your agenda and itinerary. I actually find it very difficult to, have some quiet time, but intentionally, I have to I have to do it. It's compulsory. So I think for some of us that are very, very busy, very energetic, we're running and running.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of keep up.
I have to calm down. I have to tell myself the truth that you need to calm down sometime. Take a break and just reflect.
Okay.
Stephanie is always telling me that. I'm getting there by the grace of God.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say?
Yes. Can I just wrap it up? There's something that John shared with us in the last, I had a conference with him. 3 things that you can mention on your journal or take note on as you're journaling or keep taking notes. Some of the things he shared was next to your notes, you can put an A. An A would be something that you want to apply in your life. A C next to it would be something that you want to change in your life. And when you put a T next to that item, it's something that you want to teach someone else about. So some of those things that he shared with us about notes in our journals or as we're taking notes, we can use those little letters to help us. Why are we taking this note? Is it for us? Is it to share with someone else? Is it to, something that we want to change in our life, apply in our life, or teach someone else?
Awesome.
And that's all I wanted to share. And we're like a little bit.
That's a lovely one. Acts.
Yeah.
ACT, acts. Apply in your life.
Yeah,
no, that's a very good, great acronym.
Yeah.
Acts, change, and teach. Yes. What do you want to apply in your life? What do you want to change? And how do you want to teach others? Awesome. So that's a great acronym. I don't think anybody should forget it. Just like taking action, ACT. That should be a word that should, resonate with us. You apply it, you change it, and you teach it. So we come to the end of the class today. Yeah. That's awesome. So, thank you for sharing. I don't know if you have anything you want to say.
Yes.
Anybody?
Well, we have like real few minutes left, but I know some of you didn't share your word. Would you like to share your word? I want to give you an opportunity we want to give everyone an opportunity. At least one word about you, about your beautiful self. So we all know
you are. Are you so passionate?
Okay, who didn't share? I'm going to just point you out here. Roy, Tama.
Modupe, Emmanuel.
What is that?
Committed for me.
Committed.
Committed. Oh,
wonderful. Anybody else? Okay, we're all still thinking. Roy, you're still muted. Are you ready to say something? I can see it.
No, I didn't really do the exercise. That's why.
Oh, okay. That's okay. We'll give you some more time. We got one more week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share? Okay, look like Roy, you got a job offer over there in the chat. Okay. Yeah. Well, yes, definitely connect. Well, by the next chapter, if you like, we can exchange, your contact information. But other than that, I have a barking dog in the back. Sorry. Anybody else want to share? Go ahead, take it away, Sandra. Sorry.
Sorry then. I think next week is going to be the last class. I think we should try and wrap it up early so that we can network, get to know ourselves, know what we do, so that we can, patronize ourselves, know what Roy is doing, know what Tama is doing, so that perhaps the things I may need from Tama or Roy or Joe, we can at least patronize ourselves and help ourselves and collaborate. There's nothing like synergizing together, coming together. So those things, just like me and Stephanie. So I think next week class, we're going to make it a bit pretty short so we can have some time to take pictures, sometimes to, share what we do and, leave our details with each other so we can network and get to know each other better. There is always an opportunity, and there is a reason why God brought every one of us together on this platform, so we can learn from each other and glean from each other. So that will be the end of the class for today. Stephanie, do you have anything you want to say? Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time. I think just on the dot of 7, it's a great time to wrap it up and say thank you and have the best of your evenings. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Lovely
Good
one.
night. Have a great
Bye.
evening. Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.